right, so we're displaying here a list of courses, right? And then we're selecting that particular course and navigating to the details viewer. So what we'd like to be able to do here in the course viewer is display some details about the course that we are providing here as an argument, as a parameter. So we would need to be able to parse the ID of the course, right, from the URL, and so that we can do further queries to the database, right? So let's see if we can parse that ID. So that ID is configured in the routing, right? Notice that the route matches this URL right here, right? So we call this route, we call it the activated route, the route that is currently activated, because the URL matches, right? The URL matches, right, the path that we configured. So we would like to be able to query the activated route in particular, so that we can parse out this placeholder that we called CID, right? And we'd like to be able to do that in a component in the component that is rendering this course viewer to for instance retrieve the name of that course. All right, so let's do that in the course viewer. So in the course viewer, we would like to be able to parse that course ID in the placeholder. So to do that, the Angular provides a service called the activated route service, right? That we can ask to be injected here as an inversion of control strategy, right? That is going to be passed into the constructor. So we can declare here a variable, a private variable called route, and say that this is the activated route, the route that is currently active, right, based on the URL that activated it, right? So we can ask for the activated route, right, which has information about what the URL is, what the component is, what are any path variables that are in there. So we can then use that. We can use that route, right, and retrieve the parameters, right? There's a whole bunch of things in here, right? There's the parent component, the component itself, any child components of that component. So it allows us to all the information that we need about that route. In particular, we care about the params, right? The parameters are any placeholders that we might have configured here in the path, which is going to be parsed out and be made available to that. So what we like to be able to do is listen for any changes in that parameters. Now, meaning any changes here in this path variable. If it changes, we would like to be notified, right? Because we would need to load different courses depending on that ID. This is the equivalent in React where you have a component did update, and the component did update gets called every time the outside property changes, in particular where the routing properties change, and then we can re-render and rerun our code, right? So let's do that. So in the params, we can subscribe. And so that we can be notified if those parameters ever change, right? If they do change, it will notify us by calling a callback that we can provide here. We can say, and it will call us and say, hey, these are the very latest parameters, and then you can do whatever you want with them, right? You can, in particular, we would like to be able to parse them out and maybe store it in a local variable or something, right? So let's do that. Let's actually declare a local variable. We'll call it, say, course ID, right? And initially, we're going to make it an empty string. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to update our local copy of the course ID from the parameters that is being passed and parsed from the URL. We can say params, and params is a map, and that map is going to have all the parameters that were configured in the URL, in particular the CID. Right? So we can retrieve the CID. There it is, and we're just copying it in a local variable. Once we copy it, we can then reference it from the HTML and say, the course viewer for course ID, and then display it here. Course ID, there it is, right? So if we go back to the rendering it, notice that now we can, if we can refresh, there it is, the course viewer, course viewer for course, and then the ID, which is, notice that it matches the URL. Right? If we go back and we click on a different course, right, it'll be, I guess that's the same one. Let's click on that one. Notice that it's a different ID, right, for a different course, right, and for a different course. There we go. Okay. All right, excellent. So we can definitely parse the ID from the path.